What are you hearing about Max Scherzer? Does a guy who pitched really well in pivotal games in the World Series need to be a guy that possibly would go on a Roger Clemens type of deal where he starts 20 games, but he only starts...
Oh my God, it's Roger Clemens from the press box.
Roger Clemens is in George's box. Oh my goodness gracious. Of all the dramatic things I've ever seen, Roger Clemens.
Good evening and welcome to another installment of the New York Minute Sports Show. We've got Ken Rosenthal on Foul Territory talking about Max Scherzer's free agency, Scooble, and we've got Hall of Fame discussions. It's New York Minute Sports. It's New York Sports for New York Nuts. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Let's go!
It's New York Minute Sports.
What are you hearing about Max Scherzer? Does a guy who pitched really well in pivotal games in the World Series need to be a guy that possibly would go on a Roger Clemens type of deal where he starts 20 games, but he only starts...
Oh my God, it's Roger Clemens from the press box. So Max Scherzer is going to be doing a Roger Clemens from the Houston Astros in George Steinbrenner's box. That's not a bad idea. I call this the Bartolo Colón Rule. Max Scherzer should not go to spring training. He's a professional. He knows exactly what to do. And the reason I call this Bartolo Colón Rule is because Bartolo Colón for the New York Mets would go 11-1 later in his career, and then he would finish the year at like 12-13 because he would run out of gas. I would tell Bartolo Colón and I would tell Max Scherzer to sit home and eat empanadas, maybe together, maybe they can link up, and just show up later. I think New York Yankees should do the same thing with Giancarlo Stanton. I think they should say, forget about spring training, hang down in Tampa. After the All-Star break, we find some injury with you, you sit until July, and then you play half a season. Think about how good Giancarlo Stanton on fresh legs would be going into the playoffs for the New York Yankees if he only had to play from July to October. The problem with Giancarlo Stanton is he gets hurt looking at his own shadow. So the more games you take off that, and he's a logjam in this lineup. If you were to take him out in the beginning of the season, only let him play one half, you would be able to develop the young guys, open up spots, be able to rotate the guys in the DH, rotate 4 or 5 guys in the outfield, and get everybody touches, and build up your bench for when Giancarlo Stanton comes back after the All-Star break. And now, because, hey, listen, man, the Miami Marlins are paying $11 million of his $27 million this year. So you're really paying him what you were paying Marcus Stroman last year to be a 6th starter. So guess what? I would say Giancarlo Stanton, see you in July, Bartolo Colón Rule. Max Scherzer should do the same exact thing. He's done it before. And guys do this in the NFL a lot. Quarterbacks, they hold out. Defensive ends later in their career, like Reggie White, they're like, yeah, I'll see you after spring training. I'm not trying to do training camp.
in June for a team? Like, is that something that is a max choice, or is that something that seems to be more of a baseball choice?
It's more a market choice. And I spoke with Max yesterday, and he emphasized to me that he's ready to go right now. Been training all winter. He's healthy. If the right team calls, and there are only a number of teams that he's interested in, a certain number, then yeah, he'll sign up tomorrow. The right call with the right offer. But if that doesn't happen, if one of his preferred teams does not see a spot for him right now, he is willing to wait until after the season starts to sign then, knowing that injuries will occur, guys won't perform.
Think about this. Think about Max Scherzer. If he keeps himself frosty, he keeps himself in shape, which he will, because he's an absolute nut job, okay? And I love every bit of it. I really do like him. But if he keeps himself ready, think about when people need arms at the trade deadline. The trade deadline is later in the season now. Bro, if he keeps himself ready and he gets acquired during the trade deadline, that could be one of the biggest acquisitions in Major League Baseball. You know he doesn't need the money. I mean, he's getting $40 million from the Mets, $40 million from the Blue Jays. He needs a full team to count his money for him. So I think this might be the smartest idea, and he's never been a dumb guy. Probably will be the players' representative for the union when he retires. I wanted to touch real quick on the Hall of Fame inductees. Happened over the week, and it's Andrew Jones and Carlos Beltrán. Now, I just want to start this video by saying they're both not Hall of Famers. First of all, the Hall of Fame is not the Hall of Good, okay? And just because other people were let in that might not belong doesn't mean you need to lower the bar on the Hall of Fame. If you want to find a subject that I am a curmudgeon, that I am a get off my lawn, I don't want to hear nothing from you, it's the Hall of Fame discussion. When I grew up, to get in the Hall of Fame, 3,000 strikeouts, 500 home runs, 3,000 hits. Now, you know how much of a diehard Yankee fan I am. I grew up, the first player I liked watching play baseball was Don Mattingly. He was the dude on the front of the big league chew pack. But guess what? He's not a Hall of Famer. And I get peppered on Instagram when the Hall of Fame comes up every single year. And people are like, you don't think Don Mattingly's a Hall of Famer? You don't think Bernie Williams is a Hall of Famer? You don't think Paul O'Neill's a Hall of Famer? You don't think Jorge Posada's a Hall of... No, they're not. The only Hall of Famers on the New York Yankees that won all those World Series, let's say from 95 till about 2005, they're in the Hall of Fame. Mariano Rivera and Derek Jeter. And Joe Torre, I mean, he's still in baseball, so that's why he's not in the Hall of Fame. Or maybe he is. I'll check that. But anyway, Andrew Jones and Carlos Beltrán. Carlos Beltrán is not a Hall of Famer. And Andrew Jones is definitely not a Hall of Famer. He has 1,900 hits. Now, for a lot of the young viewers that might not know who Andrew Jones is, Andrew Jones came up when he was 18. This kid was playing in the World Series against the New York Yankees. And if you remember in the first two games of the 96 series against the New York Yankees, this guy was an all-star and he owned the New York Yankees. He almost swept the Yankees by himself, but the Yankees wound up coming back. Thanks, Jimmy Leyritz. Much appreciated. But Andrew Jones, his first 8 years, yeah, Hall of Fame trajectory, but you have to continue that 8 years. I even said this to a lot of the followers that follow New York Minute, and thank you, by the way, that the Hall of Fame is about longevity, and it's about being good for a very long period of time. Now, Andrew Jones, I think it's a joke that he got in. The 10 gold gloves, don't get me wrong, because Jim Cott, who was a former announcer for the New York Yankees, and I used to love when he used to do the commercials for My Nine. Hey, it's Jim Cott, My Nine. He won 13 or 14 gold gloves. So, yeah, that gets you in. But 10 gold gloves in center field, he did not hold his career long enough. He wound up with the White Sox. He was a shadow of himself. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. Now, Carlos Beltrán, on the other hand, he kind of scrapes and gets in. His numbers are tasty, okay? But this guy cheated in baseball. The reason that this guy didn't get the managerial position from the New York Mets was because he cheated on baseball and was involved in that scandal. So this is the thing. You don't let Barry Bonds in. You don't let Roger Clemens in. You don't let Alex Rodriguez in. And you know I'm not a big fan of Alex Rodriguez. I respect what he did on the field. I don't like him as a person, but he's a Hall of Famer. Barry Bonds is the greatest player ever to draw breath. And Roger Clemens, the Rocket, was never found guilty as shit. And you got guys now like Carlos Beltrán that are in the Hall of Fame. You got guys like David Ortiz who popped for steroids, proven. Then you got another guy. Look at these names since 2022 that have been led into the Hall of Fame. Gil Hodges, you know what? I can make a break for that. He was an all-time Dodger, and he's got a bridge named after him in New York. If a bridge is named after you, you should probably be in the Hall of Fame. Scott Rowland, not a Hall of Famer. Fred McGriff, hovered around 500 home runs, not a Hall of Famer. You got to remember, Fred McGriff is kind of like Andrew Jones. First 8 years of his career were great. The crime dog, not so much. Joe Mauer, no. Jim Leland, if it's in a managerial position, absolutely. Todd Helton, no. Suspected Juice was hitting all those home runs around Juice. Absolutely not. Adrian Beltre, no. Billy Wagner, maybe. Ichiro Suzuki. I just want to say one stat about Ichiro Suzuki. You look at the list of all the guys that had 1,300, 1,600 hits by the time they were 26. You have Ty Cobb, Pete Rose, all the guys with 3,000 hits. Derek Jeter. Ichiro Suzuki started 26 years of age at 0 hits. Ty Cobb had 1,400 hits by the time Ichiro didn't even pick up a bat in Major League Baseball. So Ichiro is, without a shadow of a doubt, a no-doubter Hall of Famer in any generation. CC Sabathia, borderline. And guess what? Don't give me Mike Mussina, because Mike Mussina don't belong in either. And this gets back to the fact that I'm trying to make, is that because you let guys in like Tim Raines and Buck O'Neill, doesn't mean now you need to open up the floodgates to guys that don't even belong in the Hall of Fame. And then you ostracize dudes like Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens. How can you not have a Hall of Famer with arguably the best right-hander of all time and the best power hitter or the best baseball player flat out ever? And if you want to talk about the first 8 years of a career, even before Barry Bonds started taking the juice and he weighed about 86 pounds on the Pittsburgh Pirates, he had 3 MVPs before he started taking the juice. He won 4 after that because he has 7 total. How does a man with 7 MVPs not get into the Hall of Fame? But I will be here for days and keep talking about the Hall of Fame, but that's not why I came here. I just wanted to touch on it before we get to Ken Rosenthal. And also, side note, everyone's blowing the New York Mets about all the GM and all the moves they made with Freddie Peralta. This is not copium. This is not haterade. I actually like the Mets. My grandfather worked for the Mets for about 30 years. He worked the Jets Super Bowl, and he also ran the phones at Shea Stadium since its inception till 1988. So I have a real soft spot for the New York Mets. But let's pump the brakes. You guys just got Juan Soto last year. You missed the playoffs. The whole chemistry in that locker room is Mendoza, the manager for this team, and I can't believe that he still has his job. So guess what? You have a lot of moving parts. Let's see if it works out. Everyone is really good in January, guys, and everyone is really confident in their team in January. Well, maybe if you're not the Yankee fans, because they're really tired of running it back, and you can check on the show that I did with Mike from Pudgy Boy Sports with a Z, and I broke down exactly the stats of last year that are going to bring the New York Yankees, that are going to run it back. Well, guess what? I feel confident in that. The Yankees running it back, I just watched a 15-minute video on how Ben Rice is considered to be probably next year one of the best first basemen in all of baseball. And guess what? Hot take, and I'm not a big fan. He got the shit beat out of him last year. Good behind the plate, good defensive player, strong mustache. I think he's got his head in the clouds a little bit too. Needs to get off the phone. Austin Wells. Last year, I thought was the year that he was really going to take the step. This year, if you look at Austin Wells' numbers, they don't dictate what you see on the field every day from him. But if Austin Wells adds 8 home runs to his total, he's one of the best offensive catchers in all of Major League Baseball. So hopefully, I know that's a lot of ifs, question marks. Jason Dominguez, Spencer Jones, I think they're going to get moved before spring training happens because, like I said, you do not want it to get to a competition. Spencer Jones beats him out, and Jason Dominguez's stock completely plummets for the 4th outfielder position. So there's going to be a lot of moving parts. I'm going to be covering it all right here on New York Minute. Don't forget to hit your notification button. And guys, what do you think about the whole Hall of Fame discussion? Do you think I'm crazy? Do you think I'm right? Do you think on that list, who are the guys that should not be on that list? Who are the guys that I'm wrong about? Let me know. Shout out in the comments, and I'll read them on the air for the next episode so we can see what you guys said. But right now, let's go to Ken Rosenthal on Foul Territory.
From the way teams think, there's always a need for a starting pitcher in May and June, even before that. So that's how he's playing this, and he can afford to be choosy, both in a financial sense and in a playing career sense. And that's where he is. So I would not be surprised if he signed tomorrow. And I would not be surprised if he didn't sign until sometime in May. He has those options available to him, or at least he thinks he will later. And that's how he's going to play this. And at his age, with what he's accomplished, I can see the logic.
Hey, Ken, last one for you. And I know it's a loaded question. We don't have to get into all of the details, but your colleague, Evan Drellick's article about how someone who's in on the owner talk said, the final straw was Kyle Tucker. Now we are going lockout no matter what. I guess, hey, we might never have baseball again after this coming season, so we should enjoy it. But just curious to get your thoughts. To me, like at this point, yes, we're definitely going to talk about this over the next year, but I'm kind of getting sick of like, this is the ultimate solution. Look at the NFL, AFC Championship game, past 15 years, Chiefs.
Listen, man, everyone keeps asking me how I feel about the Dodgers. I don't care. They figured it out. They're not doing anything illegal. They're doing exactly the rules on the books. And now you got to change it because they're winning all the time? No, why don't you do the same thing? Why didn't you think of it for the first time? It's kind of like this. Remember when Terrell Owens would put his Sharpie in his sock and he'd get into a touchdown, he'd sign the ball, and everyone was like pissed. Joe Horn used to have the cell phone underneath the cushion. Everyone would get pissed. It's like, keep him out of the end zone. The Dodgers, yeah, you guys got a lot of money too. Blue Jays, the Mets. I know the Dodgers are mega billionaires, but Steve Cohen's worth $41 billion himself. So if he really wanted to make waves, he could. The Dodgers have the #1 farm system in all of baseball. So it's not like they're just going and buying World Series. They're doing that too. So not only are they acquiring all the best players, and then they're playing three-dimensional chess with their books and with their money, okay? And then they have the best farm system in baseball. So I don't know what to say. All three facets of the game, the Dodgers have on lock, and I can't hate them for that, bro. I've said it here before. The 90s Yankees, later in the 90s, early 2000s, dude, they were trying to buy a championship all over the place. It doesn't work. And when the Dodgers lose to the San Diego Padres in the first round, everyone be like, baseball's a crapshoot. 2 years ago, the Diamondbacks got into the World Series. Anything is possible in baseball.
Or Patriots. That went viral last night until someone was forced to take it down. Anyway, your thoughts?
Well, first of all, what Evan wrote was that the Tucker thing is what's going to trigger a salary cap offer from the owners. The lockout was inevitable well before Kyle Tucker. The owners pushing a salary cap was inevitable well before Kyle Tucker. Now, we can debate, and we will be debating for the next, 11.
Listen, man, if teams want to do this to themselves, let them. If the Los Angeles Dodgers want to pay $167 million for his contract and the tax on it, going above the luxury tax, let them. If they want to sabotage their franchise, let them. They're deferring this money until 20. Who knows if the Dodgers will be bankrupt by then? Who knows if there will be baseball?
Months or so, the value of a cap versus tweaking the current system. And that's a debate that fans are eager to have. According to Major League Baseball, it's a debate the owners are certainly willing.
There's two ways of looking at it. The Los Angeles Dodgers spend too much and they're ruining baseball. Or the Pittsburgh Pirates owner, who has the best stadium in baseball, makes $300 million a year profit off of his team, who does absolutely nothing for him. Is he ruining baseball? Let me know in the comments below.
Willing to have and enjoy talking about. The players want no part of a cap. And in my view, I'm going to be consistent with this. I believe that this sport can function quite well with tweaks and maybe major tweaks to the current system. There are things you can do to not eliminate the revenue disparity. That's never going to happen, but to lessen the impact of that revenue disparity. And there's various forms and levers you can pull to help that along. You talk about a salary cap. Well, it comes with a salary floor. The two things are intertwined.
So what he means by a salary floor is it would stop owners like the Pittsburgh Pirates from spending absolutely no money. The Tampa Bay Rays, the Florida Marlins, name the team. We all know them. It would stop them from not acquiring anybody. It would be like, hey, listen, you have to spend a certain amount of money or you will be penalized, because that's the only way that they're going to be able to pick it up is hit them in the pocket. And you got to remember, man, The reason the luxury tax exists is because of the New York Yankees. The luxury tax created the Tampa Bay Rays. Also, we financed the Tampa Bay Rays. We literally gave them like $15 million a year for 20 years, and then they come back and beat our brains in for about 6 years. So not only did we beat the Tampa Bay Rays, they beat our butts after giving them like how much money? Like $126 million. So it's like, owners like the Pittsburgh Pirates, they love to complain about the New York Yankees and how much money they spend, and the Los Angeles Dodgers, okay? But they don't complain when they're laughing all the way to the bank. And they don't laugh when they're taking the Yankees' luxury tax money, okay? Because when teams spend over a certain amount, it's taxed, and then that's distributed all over the league. So I didn't hear the Pittsburgh Pirates crying when they got an $11 million check from Major League Baseball and all of the mega teams.
And we all know a floor would be good for the game in the eyes of many, because it would force some of these teams to actually spend their revenue sharing money. But I don't even know that that's necessary if you do some other things to kind of juice this along. So it's a worthy debate whether a salary cap would be good for the sport or not. I can understand the debate, but the other factor here is,
let me know in the comments below, do you guys want a salary cap in Major League Baseball? Or do you think the cheap teams should spend? Or do you think the rich teams should stop spending? And I know a majority of my followers are Blue Jays and Red Sox fans and Yankees fans, so I think I know what the answer is going to be. But I wanted to do a little bit extra long video for you guys here on this snowy day, because half of the United States is covered in snow. But guess what? I've got Major League Baseball completely covered this year right here, New York Minute Sports. Don't forget to like. That's the only thing I care about. Helps me in the algorithm. Don't forget to subscribe. Tell your friends about the show. I love the comments below, guys. You have been so nice. I love everybody following. I love interacting with you guys. And this is just the start of the season. We've made it through the tough times, the dog days of the offseason, and now we're staring down the barrel of pitchers and catchers. We've got the World Baseball Classic upon us. If you haven't seen the tournament before, you better watch it this year. If you have, you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to be covering the World Baseball Classic. I'm going to be down there for the championship game, and hopefully the United States will be facing Japan in a rematch. But you can have a rematch anytime against me on Instagram, New York Minute, NEWYRKMIN, right here on YouTube. And I'm twitching at night. No, not a medical condition, but I am playing Twitch at night. Arc Raiders, WWE 2K GM mode, and also MLB The Show when it comes out. I'm going to be playing followers on YouTube and followers from Instagram. And remember, if you can't be good, be bad, baby. Good night, Canada. Good luck, United States, in this ice and snow. And God bless the United States of America. Bye.